Have you ever felt like the smallest thing could break you? A single word, a failure, a door that closed too soon. It's strange, isn't it? How tiny troubles can feel enormous when your heart is already overflowing with pain. But somewhere out there, there are people who walk through storms and still smile softly. They lose, they fall, they bleed, and yet they stay gentle. What makes them different? Maybe their hearts are just bigger. Tonight, in Whispered World, you hear the story of Robin, a young man whose life fell apart until a quiet stranger by a lake showed him what it means to make peace with pain. Robin once had plans, a job, a future, a simple happiness. Then, one by one, those pieces crumbled. The mornings came heavy. The silence grew thick. He stared at his phone, waiting for messages that never came, jobs that never replied, friends who didn't know what to say anymore. Some nights he'd whisper to himself, "Why does it all keep slipping away?" The world felt colorless, not because it lost its beauty, but because his heart had grown too small to hold it. One rainy afternoon, Robin wandered into a small cafe near the edge of town. The hum of voices, the smell of tea, the blur of rain against glass, it all felt distant, unreal. He sat in silence, lost in the gray. At a nearby table, a few old men were talking, their voices warm. Robin wasn't listening until one line broke through the noise. "That old man behind the hills," one said. "He doesn't look like much, but they say he can heal a weary heart with just a few words." Robin looked up. His fingers tightened around the cup. Something flickered inside him, a spark of disbelief and yet curiosity. Maybe, he thought, maybe someone can tell me why it hurts so much to just be alive. That thought, quiet, fragile, was enough. That evening, Robin started walking. The air outside smelled of wet soil and pine. The sky was a soft bruised blue, the kind that comes right before night. Robin's shoes crunched against gravel, his breath visible in the fading light. Every few steps, doubt whispered, "What if it's all nonsense? What if I'm just wasting time?" He almost turned back. But then through the mist he saw it, the faint shimmer of moonlight reflecting on a lake. It was quiet, endless, alive. He followed that light down the hill until a small wooden house appeared by the water. And there, sitting outside, was the old man. His hair was white as the mist, his eyes soft yet piercing, as if they saw through the noise of the world. Robin swallowed hard. "Grandfather," he said, "I've lost everything. I can't find joy in anything anymore. Please, tell me how to be happy again." The old man said nothing. He simply stood, walked inside, and disappeared into the shadows. Robin waited, confused, almost angry. The minutes stretched like hours. Then the door opened again. The old man came out holding two things, a small bowl of salt and a glass of water. Without a word, he handed both to Robin. "Take a handful of salt," he said softly, "and put it into the glass. Then drink." Robin obeyed, though uncertain. The taste hit him sharp and bitter. He grimaced. "It's terrible," he said. "I can only taste salt." The old man nodded calmly. "Now take the same salt and come with me." They walked in silence toward the lake. The night air was cool and the surface of the lake shimmered like melted glass. "Now," the old man said, "throw the salt into the lake, then taste it again." Robin did as told. He scooped water into his hands, brought it to his lips, and paused, surprised. "It's fresh," he said softly. "I don't taste any salt at all." The old man smiled for the first time. "The pain in life," he said, "is like this salt, always the same amount. But how deeply you feel it depends on the size of your heart. If your heart is small, like this glass, even a little sorrow will make you bitter. But if your heart is vast, like this lake, the pain will dissolve." Robin stood still, the words sinking deep, like stones finding the bottom of the lake. "All this time," he whispered, "I tried to get rid of the pain when I should have learned to hold it better." The old man turned to leave, but Robin stayed by the water, watching the ripples fade. He realized that peace was not about fixing life. It was about making space inside, enough space for sorrow and gratitude to sit together. Tears fell quietly. They weren't tears of sadness this time. They were release. He looked up at the night sky, and for the first time in months, he whispered, "Thank you for everything that still remains." Gratitude, not for perfection, but for presence, not for what he had lost, but for what pain had taught him. When dawn came, the lake shimmered like gold. Robin smiled faintly. He still had no job, no certainty, but he had something he didn't before, a heart big enough to carry it all. We can't control how much salt life gives us. We can't choose when the storms come, but we can choose how wide our hearts become. When pain arrives, don't shrink like a glass. Breathe, expand, become the lake. Because peace doesn't come from removing pain, it comes from growing around it. And gratitude is the water that makes that possible. If this story found its way into your heart tonight, remember, peace begins when you stop running and start growing. If someone you love is hurting, share this whisper with them. And if these stories bring you calm, leave a light for us. A like, a subscribe, a quiet reminder that this little world still matters. I'm Ceci, and this is Whispered World, where stories breathe softly and hearts find their calm.